What's up YouTube? So I finally finished creating my latest Serum sound pack and I want to run you guys through it. Let's dive in and have a look. So for those who are unfamiliar with some of my Serum packs that I've created in the past, my last Serum pack was called Automaton, and the kind of idea behind it was, being able to hold a single note and entire sequences kind of played out around that. So it's an entire bank of kind of just sequencer type presets. Yeah, there's a couple of special things that are kind of built into this bank, and I want to run you through a bunch of the sounds and create a bunch of examples. So the core idea, like I said, was creating these kind of like sequences that are very easy to just like slap in and get kind of instant inspiration. But I gave each of the presets like enough kind of versatility to kind of create your own and that kind of thing. So without explaining too much, I want to dive in and show you guys some of the presets, and we're going to play around with them and see what we can come up with. So this is the example that I've created. It's just kick and bass and some percussion lines. And yeah, so there's nothing else in this track except for one instance of Falcon. And we're going to go with an instance of Serum or two and play with just the sounds from this pack. So like I said, the kind of main focus or design behind this preset pack is entire sequences, so you only really need to punch in a single note and then cycle through the presets to find a kind of rhythm or a melody or something that suits the track. And the thing that's slightly different about this pack as opposed to the last one is I included a bunch of kind of melodic stuff as well that was actually inspired by classic Psy-trance tracks and that kind of thing. But we're going to dive into some of those a little bit later on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in one long G note. I believe this track is in G, so this should be right. And we're going to then dive into these presets and have a listen to what we're dealing with here. So there are over 50 sounds in the pack. I believe there's about 55 or so. So yeah, I'm just going to run through a couple of these, show you guys my favorite ones, and find a couple of examples that can work in this track that I've got here. So a quick example, I just want to show you guys kind of the idea behind some of the design of these presets. As you can see here in the description, I generally in the past haven't been very descriptive as to, how the thing is kind of created. And I try to change that with this pack, actually show you guys which LFOs are creating the note sequence and which are creating the kind of like gate sequence and that kind of thing. To make it easier for you guys to dive in and edit these. But also on top of that, what I've done is I've added, all of the LFO shapes that I used to create this pack are going to come with the pack as well. So let's say, for example, you like the sound, but you don't really like the rhythm, then all of the other rhythms from the pack are here. So you can just kind of like change it. So if you like the sound, but you don't like the rhythm or vice versa, you can kind of just, change it to some of the rhythms from the other sounds. And if you didn't know this about Serum, if you hold Alt and click on this little folder, it cycles through the LFO shapes sequentially. So if you have them in a folder like that, it's pretty handy if you've named them kind of sequentially. So we can cycle through some of these gate presets and find something unique to the actual preset, which is pretty cool. So this gives you the ability to find a preset sound, but create your own rhythms and stuff around that. So it's kind of unrecognizable. And then, like I said, some of the presets have these kind of like melodic elements to them. Some of them don't. Some of them are more kind of like rhythmic stuff. But then some of them have kind of the best of both worlds. And then what I've done here is I've applied a macro to kind of switch the melody on or off. So with most of these where it's kind of like a sequence or melody macro, you kind of want to make sure it's either 0 or 100%, just to make sure that it doesn't hit semitones in between what's actually in a scale and that kind of thing. But just here's a quick example of how we can kind of like alter this preset to create our own unique sound. Okay, so anyway, that was just a kind of like explanation of how I've kind of designed a lot of these presets. So now what I want to do is I want to run through a bunch of them and kind of try fit them into this example that I've got here, the kick and bass and percussions and stuff like that. Okay, so I mean, that was pretty simple, pretty quick, and I think that sound fits in perfectly. Another quick example, like I said with the melodies thing, I've got a similar thing with some of the gate patterns, so you can kind of like switch them up if you want, but at the same time, I've kind of showed you here in the descriptions which of the envelopes or which of the LFOs are creating the gate patterns, so you can go in and create your own or choose any from the pack, but just having it as a macro, you can quickly cycle between the two gate presets, so you can modulate that during a track, have a breakdown where the pattern suddenly changes or something. But just for this example, I'm going to leave this as is. I'm going to EQ it a little bit, cut out some of these lows, and cut out a little bit of that kind of like harsh resonant tone around the 3K region. I think there's a little bit of something around there. Okay, so we got like a Formanty sound kind of thing. We got like a FME gatey type sound. So I'm going to try to find something a little bit different, but at the same time, I want to cycle through a bunch of these presets just so you guys can hear kind of like what's going on here with the pack. here's another example that I think would be pretty cool to show you guys kind of like how you can, add some of these other LFO shapes to create your own melodies and gates to something that's already existing, so you don't have to build your own patches and stuff like that, but you can kind of take inspiration from the sound, if that makes sense. So anyway, here we've got the note sequence. So I'm going to open up the LFO shapes for this pack, and then we can click on the first melody, and then we can just cycle through them until we find one that suits the vibe. So I think we cycled through all the melody ones. I think the first one was actually the coolest. Let's go with that one. And then we can actually try alter some of these gate patterns. So this one is a bit interesting. There's kind of like this, I've created this macro that adds in additional stabs. So you can kind of use it to add tension to the sequence. Check this out. Anyway, so let's go through some of these other presets, and then I think we're going to call it a day. anyways, you guys get the idea. There's just a few more to run through, but I'm going to save those for your imagination. I don't want to give away too much. But yeah, that's about it. You guys get the vibe and the idea with this pack. I'm probably going to do some more videos and streams, including this. So definitely stay tuned for those if you are still on the fence. Otherwise, I'm going to post a link to where you can buy this in the description. My Patreons are going to get a discount, so I'm going to be posting that to my Patreon. If you want to know what that's all about, check out the link that's also going to be in the description. See you guys next time. Cheers.